All right, good morning everyone. So I just wanted to give you a little video on how to get started and set up the wheel for those of you that are wanting to give a go and try to learn to throw on the potter's wheel. So these wheels here are electric kick wheels. So in other words, the original design of these Lockerbie wheels were to be done as kick wheels. So I've got the camera pointed down where hopefully you can kind of see the flywheel at the bottom and see my feet. So they were initially meant to be kicked. And then they've also added a mounted motor, which you'll see down on this side over here. So when we start working on these wheels, first of all, I think if you line the tray with newspaper, it's going to make your cleanup that much easier. Second of all, you want to make sure that you have a full bucket of water, just about an inch below the top. Don't get a big bucket and get like a tiny bit of water in it, okay? We want to be able to get enough water that we can get our hands down inside. So set up the bucket. You can put it on your left side or your right side, whatever your preference is. I'm more left-handed, so I tend to keep mine on the left-hand side. Then you want to make sure you have a couple of tools. We'll want to have a nice sponge with us, have a needle tool, and then a wire cutoff tool. And then what I think helps is to have one of these wooden knives and also a type of a rib tool. It could be a wooden rib, it could be one of these flexible cards. Gift cards work great for that. If you want to get something in the future as you progress, like a little chamois to smooth off the edges of your rims, a little chamois is also nice. And you can just put that in your water and drape it over your bucket so it's easy to find. So I have a little container, old cookie dough container that I keep all my tools in. So when you come to the wheel, number one thing is make sure that the splash guard is in. There's two little hooks in front down here, hopefully you can see. And you want to make sure that this is slid forward and it's in those hooks. If it's not in those hooks, it's going to rattle, it's going to make horrible noises, it'll grind the wheel head, the bat pins on the bottom of the wheel head into this and leave marks. So basically, when you slide it in on the rails, just hold it up by the back and slide it forward and it should go right in those hooks. Okay? So that's pretty much everything that you're going to need. You'll notice on these particular wheels that we have here in the classroom, we have what are called bat pins. And the bat pins hold wooden masonite bats. And that is so that as you finish a piece, instead of having to cut it off and pick it up and move it, it's a little easier to just pop the bat off the wheel head and then take it off and store it until it's leather hard and we get to the trimming stage. So when you get these bats, you'll see some of them have been worn and they have multiple holes in them. You want to find the ones that have the small, nice, tight, snug holes. And then just go ahead and pat it down, make sure that it doesn't wiggle, it doesn't move. If it wiggles or moves, then you want to try the next set of holes. And then what I like to do to get started is just dampen the bat a little bit. You don't want a lot of water on it because it'll cause your clay to slide. And then it won't want to stick to it initially if you have too much water. So just a little bit, and it also cleans it off if somebody left it a mess before you got to it. Now, one other thing, we always start these wheels kicking them. That's what's going to go ahead and get it started. Now, on the left-hand side, there's a switch underneath the tray, and that's your power switch. If I turn it on, you're going to hear the motor start to run. There's a little foot pedal on your left-hand side that controls the speed, or kind of like a car, that's your gas pedal. So basically we start them by kicking with our foot so we get it rolling, and then we step on the gas to get it continue having it move. We don't want to just step on the gas right away because there's a little rubber skateboard wheel that engages the drive on this. And if you just constantly step on it all out, you're going to wear those little skateboard wheels down, and they're quite expensive to replace. If you kick it and get it going first before you engage it, it doesn't wear it down as quick. So give it a kick first, then you can step on it. You only need to give it gas when you're needing the wheel head to move a certain speed. Initially, you're going to step on at full speed when we center the clay. After that, you're going to back off and you only use it as you need clay, need speed, I should say. To stop the wheel, we have to just drag our foot on it, okay? And I find just dragging your right foot works best. Now there's two little foot, I guess, pedals, so to speak, or foot braces on the outside edge. That's where you want to rest your feet. Don't rest them on the actual flywheel at the bottom. Your feet will be dragging the whole time. And if you have to get up, like say go to the sink, you forgot something, make sure you stop the wheel first and then step on the side braces as you get up. Otherwise, if you step on the flywheel, it's going to move and you may take a tumble. Okay, the last thing, word of caution, make sure if you're wearing an apron, your apron is tied well securely in the back. I have had students that have not tied their aprons. They go to work on the wheel. The strings of the apron fall down between their legs. They get caught around the shaft that spins here, and it has wrapped around and yanked their head down into the clay and then snapped the apron right off their neck. Scared them to death. So you want to make sure that your apron is securely tied so that doesn't happen. Lastly, what you need to make sure you have is a nice piece of wedged clay to start with. And we want that to be nice, soft, your best clay you have. The nicer your clay is to start with, the easier the process of learning to throw will be. If you've got hard, lumpy clay, you haven't wedged it, it's full of air bubbles, then it's going to make this process a little more difficult. So I would suggest starting with something that is a little bigger than a tennis ball, but a little smaller than a softball. If it's real tiny, it's hard to get your hands around it to learn to center at first. So something similar to what I have here in the palm of my hand. All right, so that is the first part on how to set everything up. One other thing, when you finish, we want to make sure that we clean everything up well. So that means cleaning all our tools off, cleaning out our bucket of water, putting the newspaper in the trash, wiping down the tray, wiping down the wheel head. And then also, you'll then remove the splash guard and you'll take that to the sink and you'll clean that also. Once everything's clean, then you'll go ahead and put it all back together and leave it nice and neat for the next person that comes along. Nothing worse than coming and getting on a wheel that's been left a total mess, in my opinion. So make sure you're cleaning it up well. You have to rinse the sponge out and wipe everything down multiple times. Otherwise, it doesn't quite get clean. All right? That's the first part.